Who the hell holds an arm like this? Spider-Man? What's wrong with you? We're recording. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Corporate Service Meeting, April 1st, 2026. You're mover and a seconder. Moved by Donna, second by Jason, that the Corporate Service Committee meeting be open at 7:01. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of agenda. Need moving seconder, Steve, Mary. Moved by Steve, second by Nary, that the agenda for the Corporate Service Committee meeting for April 1st, 2026 be approved as presented. All in favor?
It's not as presented. You're
As
moving.
amended.
Yeah.
What?
You're moving.
Yes. Boy, full jumped on.
You got it in Dolby stereo.
All in favor? Nary. I need a mover seconder. Moved by Steve, second by Jason, that the minutes of the Corporate Service Committee meeting held March 60, 2026 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. So no presentations, delegations. We're gonna move 6C up. So that would be report from bylaw officer, administrative monetary penalty systems. Okay.
That's going up to 8.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a report before you from our bylaw officer, who's also in Zoom, and can answer any of your questions after the report that you may have. So the purpose of the report is to obtain council approval to proceed with the implementation of an administrative monetary penalty system for bylaw, building, and fire code offenses. So in 2017, the provincial government amended the Municipal Act and the Building Code Act to establish AMPS. That's the Administrative Monetary Penalty System, permitting municipalities to administer the enforcement of municipal bylaws and building code violations rather than relying on Provincial Offences Act and the court system. Effective January 1st, 2026, Ontario has introduced regulatory changes allowing municipalities to implement AMPS for fire code violations, where the spot fines could be issued to property owners, managers, and tenants for serious violations such as missing or faulty smoke or CO detectors, blocked exit, and compromised floor door, fire doors, and fire separations. And they just came up with another round on the fire code that will go to emergency services, where the province just is allowing more AMPS. So the AMP system has been reviewed by the Law Commission of Ontario, and they recommend all municipalities adopt APPS for offenses as it modernizes the prosecution methods. The province of Ontario also encourages AMPS as it's an efficient means to free up court time to permit the hearings of more serious cases. Our provincial offensive prosecutor in North Bay and the township's solicitor both strongly recommend that we adopt the AMPS, citing the dire straits of the judicial system, which is unfortunately creates a sense of reluctance on everyone's part to even engage in such long drawn out proceedings that can literally take years and thousands of dollars to resolve. This frustration often results in forfeitures of prosecution due to exceeded limitation periods. So the preparation of the service, or even worse, a dispute or an appeal of a Part 1 or Part 3 charge under the POA costs the municipality more than the fine that may be administered. This is largely due to municipal law enforcement staff having to deliver the notice of offenses tickets to the POA office in North Bay for a Part 1 offense or return several times for a Part 3 offense to lay the information, have it sworn before a justice of the peace, serve the notice to the offender, and then return to the POA to register an affidavit and summons with the court. Once that is done, the officer must then prepare court briefs, attend the POA courthouse in North Bay, and that does not include consultations and preparations with lawyers and prosecutors, which brings us to the following. The cost of a prosecutor or legal representation for the township, as we know, is very expensive and is usually covered through the offender. Plus the cost, recovered, yes, sorry. Plus the cost of his own defense lawyer, thereby causing tremendous financial and emotional stress on the individual. AMPS does not require legal representation and allows these individuals to be heard within the comfort of their municipality and perhaps even heard by a familiar resident acting as an adjudicator, and reduces the incredible stress that a person would be subject to in having to attend the POA court with a lawyer and a judge present. The remittance of fines that we issue are currently distributed to the POA, and there's a victim service charge. It's remitted to the Attorney General. All associated court costs are retained by the court, and the net amount of any revenue at the end of the year is distributed between the municipal partners based on per capita basis, meaning the township of Bonfield receives minimal funds compared to large municipalities such as North Bay. A simple bylaw fine is remitted to the municipality plus the victim surcharge portion. We currently have 2 legal matters before the courts for 2 minor infractions. One case has been with the lawyers and is not even heard in court, and it has been 4 years. Under the AMPS program, matters would be resolved within months. So the process for an AMP is under the AMPS, an individual receives a penalty notice for a municipal act infraction, or it could be a building code or a fire code, rather than a Part 1 or Part 3 charge under the POA. The individual has the option of paying the penalty or disputing a penalty notice by requesting a review by a screening officer. So the screening after reviewing the penalty notice and evidence, the screening officer may affirm the penalty, grant an extension of time for payment, cancel or reduce the penalty. And if the individual is still not satisfied with the screening officer's decision, the matter can subsequently be appealed to the hearing officer. And a flow chart is attached for your review. The screening and hearing officers are appointed by council based on knowledge of bylaws, processes, and general legal understanding. The hearing officer is generally a paralegal or a municipal clerk from a different municipality. The implementation of AMPS eliminates the need for the POA court to be involved in the administration of bylaw infractions, allowing the whole process to occur at the municipal level. As noted previously, the POA court system is still available should the need arise to address repeat offenses with more strict consequences. While township staff make every effort to gain voluntary compliance and exhaust all possible attempts to obtain compliance with the use of the POA system as a last resort, but it is required on occasion. By implementing AMPS for the administration of municipal act bylaws, the township would be able to address most violations internally, thereby keeping revenue in-house and increasing the speed in which matters are decided upon and resolved, and greatly reduce stress and financial burden on the public. Some of the bylaws that it could apply to are property standards, open air burning, animal control, the travel trailer RV, short-term rentals, parking, fencing, noise, waste management, and then, as we said, fire code and building code as well. So some of the administrative penalty system is being implemented by an overwhelming number of Ontario municipalities, and soon AMPS will be standard, by which not only municipalities but many authorities across the province that enforce bylaws, acts, and bylaws. Staff agree with our municipal lawyer and the local prosecutor and recommend that implementing the proposed AMPS bylaw will provide several benefits, including enhancing customer satisfaction, obtaining compliance sooner, and reducing costs associated with relying on the POA system. This system offers a more efficient system with a chance to dispute a penalty in a friendly and familiar customer service space. While municipal law enforcement staff make every effort to gain compliance without any type of monetary impact on the individual, it is sometimes required to gain compliance or ensure future compliance.
Okay, need a mover and secondary. Moved by Donna, second by Steve, that the Corporate Service Committee recommends to council to authorize staff to prepare administrative monetary penalty system bylaw that benefits both residents of Bonfield and the township in regards to a timeline and cost of bylaw enforcement.
Can I ask a question? Our bylaw enforcement officers, how will he monitor ATV and off-road vehicle?
Could you repeat that, Your Worship? Sorry.
How would that not be something the OPP would monitor? Why would that be under our jurisdiction?
The ATV and off-road vehicles, Mike.
Oh, the ATV and off-road vehicles. Yeah, so we do have it in our bylaw. I have to check the set fines. But yes, the OPP certainly has that authority, as they do for a few other bylaws. But yeah, I'd have to look into that one for the ATVs.
Alex?
Sorry, Mike, it would be more pertaining to probably like trespass to property, right? Or damage caused for an ATV or off-road vehicle on municipal property. Would that be fair to say?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Would be damaging property?
So like if there was
Or in the park where they're prohibited from operating the vehicles, right?
like a dirt bike or four-wheeler ripping up the
Oh, yeah.
grass down here or something along those lines.
Okay.
Yeah, not on the road. We would have nothing to do with that. It's more in
No.
the township properties.
Okay.
Anybody else with any questions?
I just have a general comment. I appreciate that this is going to expedite the process. The provincial offenses court is very backlogged. I think that's well documented, and the fact that we have the provincial offenses or the prosecutor strongly advocating that municipalities take on this, I think is very telling. The fact that they are overwhelmed. It allows the flexibility for the municipality to be able to work with our citizens to ensure that our rules are being followed, that there is compliance with within municipal bylaws to ensure equitable enjoyment of the municipality by all of the residents. That's why bylaws are in place. So I have a hard time understanding if somebody would be opposed to this only for the fact that we put the bylaws in place. They're passed by council, so authority or enforcement of those bylaws, as I've said multiple times, my goal from a municipal standpoint is to ensure that we're being fair and equitable to everybody. There's a fair and just cause to the actions we do, that the answers that one person gets is the same as the answers as another person gets based on the same circumstances. If this actually allows us to enforce bylaws without it having to go to provincial offenses, without actually having to call the OPP which often, quite frankly, they're overwhelmed and busy doing far larger criminal investigations than lots of our initial bylaws. So I think this actually respects how busy our OPP are, respects how busy our provincial offenses courts are, and allows us to help ensure that our municipality runs smoothly. So for those reasons, I'm in favor.
Am I allowed a second question?
Sure.
Okay, so having put this on our building official, our law enforcement officer, then are we, and it's just a question, are we putting a lot more on our bylaw enforcement officer? He's got to look after the dogs, the cats, building, and all of this?
Okay, so for our staff member, if I can, sorry, Jerry. Our staff member doesn't have additional work. So how it would work, they would still give, instead of giving a ticket, they give a penalty notice. And Mike, jump in if I get this, because I know you've taken the training on it. But he would issue a penalty notice, and then the resident would bring that penalty notice. They have three options. They can pay it, they can appeal it, Yeah, I guess that's it.
Or dispute it and then appeal if they don't like.
Right.
So those are the three things.
So they go first to the screening officer who's appointed by council, who I've seen in a lot of cases where that's another clerk from a different municipality. So someone who understands bylaws, but is not legal, not a lawyer, right? And then it's very much like a court process still, where the resident would come forward with their penalty notice, give information, but they're doing it themselves. So they don't have to hire a lawyer. They're gonna meet with another person and like that kind of very friendly environment. It would likely be here. They would bring their case and say, here's why I don't feel I can have it, or you know what, I just don't have the money, I can't pay this much. The screening officer can decide that the fine is the same, or that it can be reduced, or that they can waive the penalty altogether. But our bylaw officer still has to put together his package as well to say why he did lay the penalty notice. So there's no
You would have to
additional
be
work.
the person doing it, right?
Yeah, for whatever's in our bylaw under
Just like-
different circumstances, but he still, so for the lawyer, like if we went to a POA, we have to hire a lawyer, give them the briefing note, give them all the information, they file everything with the courts. But this way, it's just the resident and the CBO talking to one other person, the screening officer. Then if they appeal, the screening officer, it goes to a hearing officer, so the same package goes to the same person. Like that, yeah.
I mean, I
And
think, go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, and it's on site too, right? It'll most likely be right where you are sitting, right? That'll be like our makeshift courtroom. So let's say I issue a part 3 information. I have to prepare my documents as both ways, but then I have to deliver it to North Bay, to the POA office, right? And I have to swear the information in front of a judge, and then I have to go back to the person in Bonfield and serve the summons and fill that out, and then go back to North Bay and give it back to the courts, right? And prepare a date for trial. So there's a lot of travel time, right? So this way here, it's right in the office, so it saves us a lot of time.
Go ahead.
The part that I like is that after all of that lengthy process, if I as a resident am found to be in non-compliance and I have to pay the fine, if you have legal fees, then I have to pay your legal fees too. So you're recovering the total cost of whatever it was. So this way, as a resident, if I can come in, I can explain why I think it's wrong or why I'm not doing it, whatever the decision is, it's just that I have to pay, if I have to pay anything. It's not anything extra.
Did you have another question there?
No.
And I'll just add, I think the piece that I actually quite appreciate in this is the fact that if somebody wants to appeal or question that it is not an internal. I don't want to presuppose where council will vote this. It is a council decision who will be that appeals. But I do like that it's written in the report that, you know, often in other municipalities, you've seen it as an outside court or somebody without, you know, it's not internal, it's not, you know, our CIO who is judging the fine of an employee. I like the fact that, which quite frankly, if it's overturned by the CIO, can often also cause internal friction. Where if it's an outside party listening to it, it's objective, that's where I appreciate that if council would consider that when we get to the point of appointing an appeals committee or group, that it would actually be seen to be outside the organization of the township, that for the objective view. So,
I like the fact that it gives Mike more opportunity to work with people also.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean.
Yeah.
So. Any other questions, concerns? All in favor? Carry.
Mike?
All right, thanks, Mike.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Thank you, your worship. Thank you, councilors. Thank you.
All right. Okay, 6. Session, A draft 2026 budget report. Wow.
I like it better. Oh, well, you can read this part first.
Like a gut punch, eh?
We can go through this first if you want.
That was awesome.
So we did have a meeting on March 16th, if I may. You
Yeah, go ahead. It's your,
Very good. Okay, did meeting on March 16th, where I did present a draft budget. Since then, we have had the tenders come in for a number of the projects that we do in the year. So the screening the winter sand, and these aren't for adoption tonight, I don't believe, you're just receiving it. And then it will go to council for adoption. So the low bid on that is 55,000. And you can see from our expenses of last year, it's up a little bit. So if we still from 52 to 55 for the winter screening, all of these, if you want to follow along in the big budget, I believe start on page 1920. Sand was an issue, not for us last year, but for salt was an issue last year for a number of municipalities. So I'm sure that there will be some ramifications for the heightened demand last year.
so I'll touch base on that a little bit. Being down at Good Roads, I reached out to another vendor. They don't seem to have an issue to supply the salt.
And
So-
they're in our area as well.
Yeah, so it shouldn't, I mean, salt's gonna go up, but not what was going on around here this winter.
That's
So-
great news.
Yes, we have options.
Yes, we have,
Good news home from Good Brothers.
Yes.
I like it.
but anyway,
Okay. It's good, but it is factored in. Roughly the same cost for 2026. The stockpile also came in, so in 2025, our cost was $98,868. The low bid this year is 111, so there would be additional costs in there. Same with the quarry for Farmers Line. Last year we did the two Webs and Rainville, and then this year we're looking to do Farmers Line in Gabriel, the corner. So that again, the low bid is at 56,900.
they're gone up a little bit, but I mean, with fuel prices jumped up as much as
Yeah.
we're still getting a pretty good deal.
I think so, yes. And there's quite a vast difference, right? So,
And we're like putting a buffer. I'm concerned that things are just gonna keep going, right? And I know that they have to honor this price, but
And sorry, going back to stockpile, no, you don't have to go back. It's where we specified quarry for the stockpile.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, for the stockpile, No.
It's just granular.
granular A for stockpile, quarry A for the roads application. I believe last year we discussed this and we
Yeah.
made the choice based upon budget that we can afford to carry a stockpile of granular A. Quarry.
Yeah, I mean, if the numbers keep crawling up any higher, I think we would wanna maybe look at going quarry A. Cause I mean, there's not much difference between the two right there, and you're getting a lesser product in my opinion.
No, I agree. It's just, we really didn't have a baseline, on what materials would cost, then we received the tenders. So
Yep, no, I mean, there's not much of a difference there. I would expect there would have been a bigger difference.
so we have regular A quarry here at probably half the price for,
But less tonnage.
yeah, so but you're right, it doesn't seem like it's a big difference.
Right, everybody else here getting quarry material.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's just. Okay.
And then we have the quote as well for the double surface treatment. It came in last year, we did 2 kilometers. This year, between Development Road, Trunk Road, and the section of Sunnyside, this was for the double surface treatment. And then that low bid is 155. Again, however, we did discuss, so further from the discussion of the budget meeting on the March 16th, we requested a quote to be obtained for paving Trunk Road Hill and a section of Gagne, approximately 550 meters. So the current capital budget comprises of $47,000 for the tar and chip of Gagne Street, and $75,000 for the tar and chip of Trunk Road. We did get quotes So there are other expenses such as geotech, gravel, culverts, etc., that are also included in the budget amounts. The paving for Trunk Hill will be approximately $160,000. So given the unit cost of the tender that we just received, it's adding 85,000 to the budgeted numbers for Trunk Road, and for Gagne Street, we're adding we're going from 159 to 106,000 into the budget for paving that section of the road as opposed to surface treatment.
What's, can you remind me what the average lifespan is of chip seal versus pavement? Especially on an application going up a hill like that?
So, I mean, if we wanna do just, we'll take Blue Sea, for example, right? I believe Blue Sea was paved over 10 years ago, and it's still sitting up.
Right.
Whereas one of the most recent roads that we had tar and chip would have been a section of development towards the lake.
Yeah.
That was done approximately 2 years ago, and it's already falling apart. So you're essentially say 3 to 5 years on tar and chip, and I'd
With a-
say with a seal coat.
With a seal coat.
Yeah, which hasn't been applied for the section that we have. Whereas pavement, you're looking at probably, I'd say 8 to 15 years, depending.
Right, so the return on investment is there over time, is
Right.
basically, if you go with pavement now. You buy once, cry once, but it'll, like, the anticipation is future counselors or anybody in our decision that will not have to worry about that for a much longer period of time.
And
Because we made the right investment.
I think there's
Going up the hill
a
from-
few deciding factors, like we previously discussed, being as one, it's a hill, right?
Yeah.
2, that hill does take a lot of water.
Yeah.
3, the other thing that I know we talked about was the possibility of the heavy trucks and traffic that run up there with tires spinning, wheel rutting, that sort of thing. I mean, I think for a long-term solution, pavement would definitely be the choice to go with, especially due to the location. Yes, it's more expensive, but in the other hand, yes, it's going to last longer.
Well, just given the area, nobody's getting a running start at it. They're coming around the corner and having to build momentum while going up a hill. It's just,
You're gonna spin out on it, then you're gonna
Right.
create those wheel ruts, and then
Absolutely.
you're gonna get washouts.
even trying not to spin out on it, you're going to as you're trying to climb the hill, so.
Right.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It's pretty old though, Trump is pretty old.
Yes.
Yeah. This section, you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, the time you put the 3 coats of chip seal on it, we're not really that much more
You do
money.
your double surface and then your additional, and you're
You're
pretty
probably,
much at a
yes, you're probably maybe 30 grand more.
single lift of asphalt.
Right.
So.
Okay, so then Trunk Road Hill is expected to be funded through the Canadian Community Building Fund, and the Gagne Street is budgeted in the operating budget. So Sunnyside is expected to be funded in the capital budget through the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund. So I given a bit of a synopsis of what that's gonna look like for the Community Building Fund. So currently it has a balance of $807,000. Trunk Road, 158, Development Road was 131, to be 289,000. And then adding the 85,000 and the 59,000 that we need for Gagne Street to be paved as opposed to the surface treatment. We will have a remaining balance of the Community Building Fund of $373,000 at the end of 2026. However, we still have the decision to make on the second, on that.
Seal coat.
The fuel quote on development, that second that we were just talking about, they believe the quote that came in for that was 161,000. So then that could be funded as well from the Community Building Fund. Account that we have.
I mean, my thought, I would like to see it done. We're already suffering damage to it. I mean, if we can get the potholes fixed just before they put the seal coat on it, it's gonna give some longevity to that work. It has to be done regardless. I mean, this year, or next. But it needs to be done sooner than later.
Okay, so I'll add that into the capital budget. Okay, so the OSAF currently has a balance of 195,000, less the Sunnyside, and less the 30,000 that we always put in the operating budget. We're gonna have at the end of 2026, 117,000 left in that account. And then Farmers Road along with the gravel for the corner at Gay Road was budgeted 190. So this also includes the Gagne Street, which had 91,000 was tar and chip. So we'll leave that 91,000 for Gagne, and we're only moving the pavement to the community fund. Yeah, and then if there's any funding left in that road budget, then we can move that into the asset management reserve. At the end of the year, just or at the end of the construction season, it's just a resolution of council.
Go ahead.
Sorry, if I could just add, so once again, as we've previously done with, I'd say 90% of our other road projects, right? We'd like to brush the roadside, ditch, remove the berms, culvert installs, that sort of thing. So just so everyone's on the same page moving forward, that is going to be the plan with the roads such as Farmers, right? So we're hoping to have the excavator out to brush what we can, roadside, berm removal, ditching, that sort of thing, right? So,
And that's included in the cost.
well, yeah, that's done in-house, right? Because we own the excavator and we own the brush head. So staff will be doing that in-house, yeah.
And it's good that you bring that up because we actually attended a seminar this week about, you know, the lawsuits of not having proper sight lines, not brushing your roads back. That's where the biggest lawsuits come from, is not opening the line of sight. So,
Yeah, that was actually a very informative seminar, so it hit home pretty well, so it was good to see down good roads.
Jason,
So we had an opportunity to talk to a constituent on Sunnyside. Last week, I don't know, I was tracked down last week. Who obviously they're in front of their property had been brushed. Jarring, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you go from there are trees to there are no trees. And before the springs, like you look at all the down mangled trees before things grow up between them. I can appreciate the jarringness of it. To the point, I don't want to take away from the importance of doing ditching. I think that is, or brightening. I think that is very important. My question would be, is there the happy medium where, or is there a plan where trees of certain size are maintained and we kind of reach in around trees? Or how does that work?
So to break it down for you guys, the easiest way to put it is anything that's like of a large tree. So we go by diameter base height, we
Yeah.
call it DBH, right? So anything that's of a larger DBH will leave. So if you drive down Sunnyside, for example, there's a few white pines that have been left, birch trees, that sort of thing, right?
right.
A couple poplars as well that,
I'm just gonna cut you off.
Yeah.
One sec. So the stuff that was really taken out was tag altars.
Yeah.
They
Sure.
weren't trees, they're tag altars, which
Yeah.
we're starting to overgrow, like actually overgrow the road.
Right. So I saw that there
So
was.
there was
trees there.
trees left because
Yeah, there was some. trees.
over a certain diameter, that brush head's not, it's not cutting, it's not brushing.
Right.
You're gonna do more damage to the head than leaving the trees.
For sure. So is there a diameter that, like, if somebody was to say, look at their ditch where we're gonna be brushing? Like, would they look and say, for the most part, anything that's over a 6-inch diameter trunk would stay? I don't, like, I'm just trying to.
yeah, I mean, I'd say we've been leaving a lot of the larger things. Anything like 50 DBH and above, but that's a
Yeah,
big
tell
tree.
me how
Yeah, no,
DBH,
so
yeah.
so essentially you take your measuring tape and go around the trunk.
Okay,
right? So it's your base height, so essentially the circumference of the base of the tree.
right.
So anything large, like we could, you know, moving forward, we could set something out that, yeah, if it's over, say, a 35 or a 40. I'll do math there.
Sorry.
It won't be cut, but for the most
We're not
part,
going
I think
to-
I think it's fair to say if we leave the larger trees. To the ability of the operator, meaning as long as they've got a clear path to get through. And it's not gonna damage our equipment. Or, you know, the aesthetic of the roadside just doesn't have, you know, one tree right next to the road,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's right by the road, I mean, you know, it's.
The whole purpose is roadside. Now to touch on the sunny side, we actually have had permission from OVR to be in that ditch line. So OVR owns 50 feet from the tracks.
Okay, yeah.
So Anything other than that is the municipalities, which is our normal setback of 33 feet from the center of the road. So the reasoning for us doing that whole ditch line was not only for sight lines, wildlife safety, you know, to dry the road out, that sort of thing, but as well as our operators were safely off the road at the time conducting this job, right? So they weren't wrecking the integrity of the road, being on it with a hard tracked equipment. They were in the ditch away from, you know, traffic, pedestrians, that sort of thing, right? So that kind of is a bit of insight onto the sunny side, why we were in that ditch.
And please understand, my questions are more from, I need to educate myself, I don't know. So I stood there not knowing answers to a few of the questions that were asked of me, and fair enough, it's not my job to necessarily know the answers, but. As I'm trying to understand some of your work, cause I don't do that for a living. So if I look, a 6-inch tree is 18.5 inches circumference, does that make sense?
Yep.
And I mean, I'm sure if Alex is brushing down the roadside, I mean, I know I do it, if homeowners come out and ask, please leave the trees. And if there are branches overhanging the road, we will come back with a pole saw and cut them. Sure. I mean, we're not there to destroy people's.
Yeah.
But I
and
mean, as far as.
on
as far-
multiple
yeah.
occasions, right? We've had a homeowner contact us and say, you know, I really hope you're not taking the cedars that are in front of my house because it provides privacy. No, we're not, but the branches that are overhanging the road were cut with the brush head. Staff
Yeah.
came back, trimmed it right to the trunk, right? To not, so that the tree doesn't incur any more damage, essentially, right? It could still
Yeah.
thrive.
But as far as tag alters,
Yeah, and again, my question isn't to question what was done, it was really just to educate
Yeah.
myself as to. What the process is, and maybe that's actually something that we could. Also help communicate out to people so that they know what to expect if they are doing brushing,
So that was
the reason
one of
for
the
brushing.
part of the seminar that we went
Yeah.
at Bid Roads. They said that what is helpful is to have levels of service on our website so that
Mhm.
people can understand. I think it probably is there already.
I believe it is.
They are, so maybe we could make it more prominent
Or
or.
we could do a post, because it's listed underneath the asset management. plan,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was gonna go look on it, but I
Yeah,
won't.
Also, the instructor or the
the presenter.
presenter that actually held the seminar. We actually spoke to him after, and he is going to send his PowerPoint. So once we receive that, I'm hoping maybe we can, you know, put it up at
Yeah.
corporate services.
Yeah.
And then even if we could, maybe even post it on the website.
Yeah, it was almost like he lived in our township.
Wow.
I mean, ultimately, it comes down to protecting the township from lawsuits and protecting our infrastructure.
Sure.
And can I say something? Because I was the one that strongly objected to it and when I saw the people, they don't live here all the time. So they couldn't have come out and talked to you at the time, because that's their cottage. They live down south.
Correct.
Yeah, and then, the lady was quite upset and when he had called me, I'm one that I would be very upset if anybody came in and cut my trees down. They're not my trees, but that's the view. It's no different than your property, no different than yours or.
But they went
yours.
by my property.
Because if they go in there and cut the trees down, you've got a beautiful, it's beautiful up there. Same thing with Donna.
Yeah, so it did
Same
happen.
thing with, you know,
Yeah.
if somebody went in there and it is the township property, you have to take into consideration how the people feel. And I know that we couldn't put the trees back, I know that, but it might have made it a little bit better that we went and spoke to them.
So
And that's.
my question then, your worship, is what's your suggestion moving forward with this program? What would you like to see in place so that this doesn't happen?
Well, if you were cutting it in front of someone's home, that might be something you might want to contact the homeowner. Like if you tell me where I am, there's quite a large area where they come in to cut the brush along Talon Lake Road. And I understand that because there's a lot of traffic on that road and they cut it mainly on my side, not so much on the left-hand side. So when they come there, if there was a reason you had to go in further with the trees, maybe going down Von Dollars Road, because my property is there as well. And I think if people were notified about, I couldn't leave it when they were both so upset and nobody go and talk to them about it. I did ask you to speak with them and they did. And,
Here, I mean, to your point, they don't live here, they have a cottage, so how do
yeah,
we
but
get?
they've got all kinds of property in the township.
Sure, but I mean, at best, I think we posted on the website saying we're gonna be brushing down this road, and I mean, that's
Yeah, I
it.
guess if they were here to see it, then they would have known.
And about 5 years ago, same thing happened to us. We drove down our road and it did look like a war zone. And we were like, oh my goodness, what is going on? All the trees were gone. And then Hydro came and took more down. But in 2 weeks in the spring, it had all kind of grown in again. And, but we didn't question it. We knew that they were doing it for a reason, but it was jarring. I wasn't mad.
I'm just saying the way I feel about it. I'm not being critical of anybody, but I would say, well, if I came in, then to me, it wasn't right on the road. It was going down the hill. There was a lot of brush and trees on the side of the hill.
But it was
So I
going
don't know how
into
that
the
would
train
affect
tracks,
up
right?
above. But that's just my opinion. I'm
So-
not any
so-
road super or anything.
No, and I understand where you're coming from, so I guess my question is. I understand the homeowner's complaint. I understand that it can be jarring for them to see,
Yeah.
no trees, but let's look at it through a different lens. So my neighbor has a tree on their property, okay? My neighbor's tree provides my property with shade. My neighbor decides they're gonna cut that tree down. Do I have any grounds to complain about them?
You
cutting-
probably didn't, but you wouldn't be friends with that neighbor. I'm just trying to understand how they felt and.
No, and I can understand that.
And it's not to get anybody mad at anybody, but I just, maybe there is a different way, but speaking with them, it makes a difference. You know, you go and talk to them for a minute and so that's all.
So, if I could, I'll just say, a couple of things. One, I don't think it's a bad idea if we actually put on a website, hey, here's over the next, depending on weather, over the next month or 2 months, these are the roads are gonna be brushing. Again, if a homeowner calls us, yeah, if we do, that's great. If a homeowner calls us, I think if we could just get to the point where we're gonna do our best to leave the big trees. We're gonna work it in and around trees. If they know that, what more can we do? We have to take the tag holders. We've got to take the low lying brush. We've got to clean up so that the sight lines are fine. That's a liability thing. I think all of that is fair. I will end with, I asked and they told us that you went and spoke to them and
Had a phone conversation.
yes, and I appreciate that. And they reiterated it was a very respectful conversation, very professional, and I want to say thank you for that, because that's all we can ask as a council, that you were respectful to those taxpayers, you listened to them, you explained kind of our position on it, and you did that respectfully. So I think that's important to acknowledge that, and thank you for that. So
Thanks.
Nikki,
Okay, a couple of things. I think Sunnyside is an anomaly because it has the train tracks. So we worked with OVR to get the right permissions and everything that we needed to do. So that's probably why it looks so different. Because we ditched on Maple and we ditched on South Shore too. And it was not nearly as wide, but it wasn't because there was no train tracks, right? So it was like a normal road that we would just do the part that you need to do for the drainage of the road. But perhaps there's a way, because it's going to be impossible. If we do post that, we're going to do the brushing and here's where it is. I think we even have a quick thing about why we brush, why we ditch. Those things have been up as well. But it might be possible, or I don't know how you feel about it, if we just bought little signs, like little that you put at the beginning of the road and just say brushing, road work here in the next week. And then we can give them a heads up. I mean, it'll cost a little bit to have like a tripod thing. Hopefully they don't get broken and stolen, but maybe we could get something so that at the beginning, when we start to do Farmers Road, we put it at Farmers, but it's generic so that it can move road to road.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
makes sense.
and I mean,
And then someone can if a property owner is like, please don't cut my cedars, then they have that opportunity to call
And I mean, I will touch on, they went down development last year. And usually there's snow until June at my place. But the snow is all melted and receded off the roads because they brushed it last year. I mean, so it does do the job it's supposed to do.
And you reminded me when you mentioned South Shore, actually, the other piece, we actually received, I believe you received the phone call. And an appreciation for the brushing on South Shore from a resident who lived on South Shore. Complimenting, they were appreciative that work was getting done there, so. You know, we have heard the other side of this as well, that people are appreciating work, so.
When would you say the last time Sunnyside was brushed?
Never,
I personally, I don't think it ever was.
Okay.
No,
What's the other?
in here 20 years, 25 years, I've never
and
seen.
I know speaking with OVR on site that they have plans to brush next to the tracks. Their equipment might not allow them to reach as far as they need to. And it just so happened we both coordinated together and decided, you know, it kind of benefits both of us, so let's continue on. Right? So whereas like a road like South Shore, our municipal setback's only 33 feet from the center of the road, so there's no way we'd be reaching into somebody's property to knock
No,
those.
'cause when the excavator's sitting on the edge of the road, it can only reach 25 feet. up.
Correct.
It was clear to these people that it wasn't their property.
No, and I know that, right? You
Yeah,
reiterated
they
that. I'm
love
not
the-
saying it
what is
was.
it?
Yeah.
Right, so,
They knew.
no, and we had a very good conversation.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know. It was just the shock of it all, I think,
Yeah.
when they came and. So,
I mean, we always, if people come, like when we're brushing, when people come. We'll ask, put a ribbon around the tree you don't want done, or, you know,
And we've-
or
we've
mark
left-
it,
we've
and I
left
mean, I'm
trees
sure
for
you have,
residents
yeah,
and stuff
I mean,
too, right?
you're not out there to be unreasonable.
No, exactly. So that's the biggest thing, I think, like moving forward, like you said, your worship, is, you know, working with the residents, not against them. But at the end of the day, you know, there is work that needs to get done.
yeah,
right?
and you
So-
did speak with them, and we spoke with them, and
Yeah.
I think it's over.
I super appreciated as constituents, they reached out, they went through. They reached out to the mayor, they talked to them, you brought us on site, or we went on site. That is how we would like the complaints process to actually work, or questions to work within our municipality, that's far more effective than. An anonymous
Taking to
person
social media.
taking to social media, like that was actually very
They did
professional, we had a
everything.
really great conversation.
No.
Yeah, so. And an appreciation from the constituents as well.
Okay.
Is it all over?
Yeah,
On that road.
Okay, so continuing with the budget,
oh yeah, we're on budget, sorry.
under B is the fuel code, like we did submit in, because we did say that we went to, Magna Super for the calcium, so that is the quote that's in for that, that's been updated in our, budget as well. And then perhaps our public works manager can speak to the fuel.
That might be.
Sure.
You're going.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
So as everybody knows, with the bit of conflict going on in the world, fuel costs have gone up quite a bit. We reached out to our fuel supplier to get a quote on where they think fuel will be in the next little bit. Unfortunately, it's a lot higher than I thought it would be, based upon how much fuel we use. That being said, it looks like it's about a $53,000 increase from 2025 to 2026 if we use the same amount of fuel. Now, that being said, let's remember that in 2025, we did have the storm, which did use quite a bit more fuel than normal. But I think for budgeting purposes, it's good to highlight this.
wow.
And
So-
do we lock in a cost? It's locked in.
No.
They won't allow you to lock it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
That would be
just-
too
Good
nice.
try.
Yeah, that would be
But it's
great,
a good
wouldn't it?
buffer.
I asked.
Well, the budget was at $130,000, so now we've increased it up to the 145, but there's no buffer, so it's just on how much fuel did we use from the storm, and there's no other buffer.
And we've
We can
taken
increase that.
a couple other precautionary measures, like we've switched
Yes.
our gasoline from the high test that we were running just back to regular fuel. Which on any other day would have cut costs exponentially,
Yeah.
but with the rising fuel costs, we're remaining about the same price per liter.
And we use diesel as well too.
Correct, yeah. So just to give you a little bit of insight on that, so the colored diesel goes in all the plow trucks because they run on MTO highways. Or sorry, the clear diesel goes on in all the plow trucks because they run on MTO highways, and the colored diesel goes into our heavy equipment. So the backhoe, excavator, those sort of things. Grader.
Geez, you hate to boil it down to it's the cost of doing business, but it's the
Mhm.
cost of doing business and so far out of our control what the gas prices are gonna be. It's like,
It's funny, we were
yeah.
sitting around the table today and another road super, was saying that he was sitting by a piece of equipment, and the lady stops and says, well, I hope you're gonna scale back your work. You're not gonna work the equipment as much because of the cost of fuel. And he's like, I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
We still have to maintain our roads, but
Mhm.
so, I mean, you can't scale it back, you just have to adapt.
Yeah.
So is there any place that we could reduce and add it to the fuel? Because this is not going away and I feel like this is just going to go up. if We don't,
Yeah, our budget is very tight.
I
There's
know.
not a lot of buffer in. Nervous about
Yeah,
not having
yeah,
much of a
yeah.
buffer in there. But we can get into other pieces of the budget if we want to. I just have a couple more reports. There's one more report from the fire chief as well, from the March 16th meeting. There was a request for more information on, the 2-bottle fill station for the SCBA's. So there's a number of reasons why the analysis of doing it, the operational readiness, the safety, the efficiencies. And then the cost that he got into. So the initial cost is 67,000. I believe he is still, you have to go with RFP. Even when it does get approved, we still have this 67 for a budget amount. But he was at a conference on the weekend as well, so he spoke to other people and he thinks he can get it for closer to 55. But it still has to go to RFP, so that's not what he said. But he did get the annual cost for the maintenance of it is anywhere from $1,000 to $1,900 a year for the bill station. And then that still includes, like that doesn't include if we have to fill the station when they bring everything into us. So that could be additional expenses. So right now we have a system, it's on lease, and then we pay, we had a bit of we reviewed the invoices as well. So we have a few of the containers that are on annual lease, and then we have a few that are on monthly. So we just converted all of the tanks over into the annual fee, and that is saving us about $1,000 a year as well. So this is probably what we spend, but maybe $2,500 to $3,000 in a typical year on the equipment. And then when we fill it in 2025, they did a number of trainings where they actually trained with the SCBA's to get more comfortable with it. We have a lot of recruits, so kind of get comfortable how to use it, what to do. So there was additional cost last year, that was an abnormal year, because of the training.
Yeah, I see life cycle major overhauls. I mean, he's fire chief saying anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. So I mean, you add that in there, you're like $1,700 a year for maintenance on this new system. So I mean,
And what are we paying? So I think that's what you were just explaining is that what the cost was for 2025.
what was it for 2024?
Yeah, so I think maybe that might be a better, right, actual for 2024 under oxygen supply and maintenance, right?
What page are you on?
I'm on page 11. So for 2024, it was 6,760. It's a 5-year average is 5,010.
And then there are costs for that's the air that comes into, so now, and we have reduced them because we put the tanks onto the
Yearly.
yearly, so that saves about $500 a tank.
Jason.
So I'm gonna ask some questions that are gonna make me seem cynical. And it's not that I don't necessarily appreciate that this might be a good investment in the future. But when I look at the analysis, so operational readiness, continuous availability to, so a 2-cycle cylinder configuration allows for cylinder to be refilled while another is in use. how many episodes have we had in the last decade that has required individuals to have 2 full tanks at any given time?
No.
Right,
So we have 3 to 5 fires a year
right.
where the system may be used.
Right, and so we will have, if we get to the point where we've exhausted cylinders for every individual. And we're out of oxygen to the point we're still fighting fire, I can appreciate why that would be an argument, it's lost on me when we look at it from our municipal standpoint in our history. The rapid turnaround, so on-site refilling eliminates reliance on external suppliers. I mean, if we have them filled and we're ready to go fight a fire, then we're ready to go. And as long as, again, we don't exhaust what we have on hand. So support for extended incidents during prolonged operations. Again, I don't know that we've had very many prolonged operations. Safety and compliance, so containment protection. So modern fill stations are designed with blast containment features. But if we don't have one currently, then it's not like we're not we're not unsafe because we don't have one. So there's not a blast concern. Air quality standards, so integrated compressors are equipped with filtration systems. Are we getting air from somewhere that doesn't have a filtration system currently?
We get it from
Right.
Praxair, which.
Right, would have that already, so it's
Yeah.
not as though we're putting our firefighters, right, we're not taking something we're not asking our firefighters currently to use a subpar air quality, okay. Reduced handling risk, on-site filling reduces the need for transport high pressure cylinders, low risk, have we had many concerns there? I mean, Praxair does the,
Brought to my attention.
right, and Praxair does who brings the tanks? Does
So
Praxair come here?
we would bring the tanks. I don't know. if
But they come to the station, they come to the station. and
Yeah.
fill.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe.
a big
I know-
tank.
I know with Public Works, like our in-house tanks, we actually bring them in, get them refilled and bring the tanks back, but to my knowledge, I think Praxair comes out.
Yeah, that's what was my understanding when Sean explained it earlier. And like I applaud with the fire chief for looking.
Sure,
You know, looking to better the fire, department. But I mean, it was never brought up as a priority. And I mean, a fire truck is a priority. So I think our money is better put forth into a fire truck than the air right now.
That's kind of where I'm at, to be honest. Well, this is great. I believe our current services are meeting our needs and not asking our firefighters to be in any more danger, there's not any
Right.
concern there from a safety standpoint. Nor are we running out of air while we're trying to fight a fire. We don't have huge multi-story structural buildings that are taking prolonged time to fight, right? So I want to be careful. The reason I ask cynical questions are because I want to be very careful in ensuring that our firefighters know if I felt that, or this was a life safety, or if this was anything that would enhance the safety of our firefighters, I'm all in. But when I look at this, I go, it's a nice to have, but to Council McInnes's point, I think if we're looking at nice to haves versus, fire truck versus all of the other expenses that we know are coming and the pressures that are at the fire department, I'd much rather put that money towards, getting ready for a new fire truck, getting ready for all of the expenses that are coming. So again, I read this report, I read it carefully. And it left me with more questions of a Bonfield fire department size versus a large city fire department size. This might make sense. I don't know. It hasn't convinced me that it makes sense for a fire department of our size, especially when there's no safety concerns for our firefighters, so.
I think our safety concerns with our firefighters right now are the actual SCBA's.
Yes,
And that's what we've been saving the last 3 years for to replace. And when we were at the fire conference last Friday, it was so long ago, but last Friday, they said that there is the fire prevention grant again this year. And then with that grant and what we've been managing to save, if we can find another 18,000, then we can actually replace that critical infrastructure for the fire department.
So can we not take that 67,000, put 50 into reserves
Yes.
put it towards the truck, and then they can use the remaining money for their SCBA's or?
Yeah, so you can put it, if there's any funds like that, you can put that into the asset management reserve, and then based on the priority, then that's where we would take that money for. We know that we need a truck in the fire department, we need trucks and pump work, so
Yeah,
definitely.
I think this just caught me, if we're looking at an asset management plan for the fire department, this caught me off guard as all of a sudden this became the highest priority because it's in front of us today and nothing else is, like we've heard all along, all the different pressures that I don't disagree with, that the fire department is gonna need. This is the first time we've heard about this. And I just questioned the analysis of it, so.
Yeah, like you said, I agree with you. If the firefighters were at risk, I'm 100% in.
Absolutely, that's a
I think we need to look towards our outdated fleet to start bringing newer vehicles into the fire department.
SCBA's, I think that's a critical piece of equipment that we wanna make sure we're supporting.
Nary, you got,
Last one of these steps. Since this was brought into your, since it was brought into our report, what is your opinion? Being on the fire.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
they need more money than what we have budgeted for them. I mean, if we wanna try and get everything caught up to standards. It's an expensive department and it was left behind for a long time, so. But to Councilor Clark's thoughts and Dan's thoughts, like. Trucks probably before where and
Well,
SCD is like, there's only so many limited funds and a lot of wish lists, right?
and with our air, we're not out of compliance. We're still, still. They're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
quality air and everything's to par.
so another question. So then, if we put that into our reserves with the fire truck, what would happen in the event that we did need this? Would they take it from our reserves, or do we have to leave it for the fire truck?
That's why I'm suggesting putting it in the asset management strategy reserve as opposed to an individual, because then we can just pool all of the funds. So if you did need it, it's still in there. It's just that it's in the asset management plan.
And if we really needed it, we could pull it out, otherwise it would stay in
Yes,
for our truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what might be helpful is, again, to Steve's point, is that they have been underfunded and that we're catching up with equipment and everything else. What is the priority? So we don't have a priority list. So I can't imagine that this
there is a
isn't,
list.
yeah, so where would this fall in the list is? Cause I haven't seen the list for a
It
while.
wasn't submitted as part of the asset management list.
Yeah, so I
I think
think,
it's probably not a priority, I think it's probably more that it's feasible compared to some of the other things that are a priority, but
Very
it's not
expensive.
feasible.
yeah,
Correct.
but if this is like, say, 10, and we've got 9 things, I'd rather try to save towards getting the bigger items.
The big
and
ticket
The big
items.
ticket items that are, and I mean, we looked at trucks and like a basic truck is $500,000, so, I mean, a used one even, that we are. But that I think is our priority, and I think if we start spending the nickels and the pennies, we're not gonna be able to save the dollars to get the big items.
How soon do you think you need a truck? Yesterday?
Yes,
Yes.
And you're-
yeah, and more than one, I think, we need more than one,
Yeah.
we need 2.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a firefighter, but I mean, I would think the frontline trucks should come priority. But I mean, that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I think
Again-
that is a good point, I think it's feasibility and it's
Yeah.
kind of like, okay,
And
this
again,
might be low hanging fruit, but.
the chief has an opportunity. We were sitting at corporate services. He will listen to this meeting. If we have missed the mark on something, if this is a life safety, a true life safety, and or like he's heard our thoughts on why we would actually like to redirect. It's not that we're not investing in the fire department, we're just actually saving for bigger future things. If he has counter to that we're not considering,
Mhm.
he's got time before it comes to council, so.
He did speak to me, then he was talking to one of the companies as well about leasing it, so he's looking at lease options, so maybe he can bring that back later in the year
And
as
so the
well.
current system
So-
is broken?
No,
Because-
No. No, the current system works, and we are replacing the SCBA's,
But it's,
so
sorry, it's one, from my understanding, it's one bottle at a time instead of 2. To fill,
Okay,
right?
it's a time thing, okay.
But I mean, it's not like. It's not like it's under a time crunch, like
Yeah.
we've never been in a lineup to get the bottles filled.
Yeah.
And we have how many fires a year?
3 to 5.
If we can't figure out in between 3 to 5 fires a year to go get the bottles filled, or trainings, or.
And here's another,
That's what I would like to ensure that we have a good process to ensure that our bottles are ready to go. And so if not having this piece of equipment is getting in the way of us having bottles ready to go for our staff, that's a very different conversation we need to have.
and here's
And I
another.
didn't have it enough, so.
I think Wasson just put a brand new system in, and then maybe we can strike up an agreement with them to fill the bottles if we needed to have them filled. And I think Calvin has air system. I don't know if
I
he's
don't know.
spares. Anyway, I know Wasson just put one in, and Nipissing signed an agreement with them to fill their air bottles.
Ferris is getting something, a big piece of equipment.
Well, they're getting new
Fire
They're
training.
they're getting a
Yeah.
training
Yeah,
center,
yeah.
but it will have an air system in it, but I'm just saying there's alternate places we can go for air.
So you're going to go after the literature, that means the. After the.
Yeah.
Well, and see what the lease is.
Yeah. Options forward.
So sorry, just to be clear, if this was earmarked as budget for the fire department, if we defer it into the asset management plan, it'll still be for the fire department.
Well, it goes into the asset management plan. So the fire department does have one, and then if they have any surplus in their operations, then that money goes direct to a fire one. But the asset management plan one is, we have an asset management plan. Council has set these priorities. These are the things that we're going to do.
Yeah.
And here's the order that we're doing them. So it's as those come up, that's what the funding goes to. So if we had it's for every single department. So it's whoever's the most critical and whatever's the most priority.
So I would like to think that if that's in the fire department budget and we're,
Currently, it's budgeted under general administration.
okay, and that we're currently deferring it to save for bigger ticket items, I would like it to at least stay in the same department to build for that, as opposed to.
And I'll be, I'll be honest, if we need to buy a fire truck, we're not gonna have enough money even in reserves to buy a fire truck. The municipality and whatever future date is gonna be financing the future for that truck when it's critical and we have no choice to do it. So, but sure, great to have a bunch of money in a reserve to be able to do that, but we're also in the bigger picture, which is our job, like we're looking at a $5 million immediate need for capital. I forget the number, I might be way off.
Yeah, we need 1.3 million a year for the next 10 years. We are
Just to meet our
just to
critical.
meet what needed to be done by 2025.
Right, so that's the piece I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, so,
$18 million
yeah,
immediate.
I think it's fair to say this council or any future council is gonna look at the fire department and go, when it's critical, when we have no choice. And we need a fire truck to keep our residents safe. It's gonna be a priority, they're gonna make it work,
100%.
right? I mean, we would do that if they came to us today and said, our fire truck, we have no fire truck and it's beyond repair. We would be out shopping for a fire truck and figure out our finance options, we have no choice but to do that,
You
right?
have room to buy that stuff?
Yes,
I would think that there's room. Yes.
Yeah.
in our front. We have lots of room.
And.
Oh, under our
Provincial
our
standards.
debt, yeah, our debt limit. Yes, there's room.
But
Yes.
we're also
We can do
looking
500
for
dollars.
deals, right? Like if
Yeah.
a good deal comes up and, somebody's giving away something, a good deal, we're gonna take it, right? So,
As long as there's like parameters because Bonneville is growing, so we need to make sure whatever truck we have has certain
Yes,
criteria
yes.
on it, and the chief knows that criteria. So if a truck came up that had a really good deal with the criteria that
Yeah.
meets Bonneville's needs now and into the future,
Yeah.
then we
Yes,
definitely.
for sure.
look
Was
at that.
there any talk at the fire conference, like with other departments, like, are you guys, is anybody getting rid of a truck in the next couple of years? Is put
We're
Bonfield
on
on the list, or?
We run the municipal track, so we didn't get to talk to the operational.
I did talk to all of the vendors though,
Yeah.
about how much it.
Vendors. Department, that's
Yeah,
fire.
Yeah,
department.
but we didn't have a lot of fire.
Your question, Steve. Were you asking if we put this in take that about it's for the fire department? we put it in the asset management reserve. Were you asking, or were you saying you wanted to be sure that it remained for the fire department? So we can't take it out and spend it on anything else.
Whether that- whether-
I can say before 2017, I think it was 2017 when the finance came in and they made the reserve policy. Prior to that reserve policy being adopted, there was a reserve for every single department. And then they merged those departments into the asset management plan because it is based on priority, based on what's the most critical at the time, as opposed to, well, you know, at the time, like fire can't get upset if something happens in public works, or public works can't get upset if something happens in fire. You have to take like
Whatever money that.
what from a different department, because
It's township money at the end of the day, right?
Right.
That's what you're getting.
so it got pulled into an asset management. We can go back to any system that you want. We can revise the reserves policy. That's
we-
certainly,
We laid out, we're the ones that laid out the asset management, I mean,
yes.
so, I mean, the list.
Yeah, to Steve's point, as I sit on the library board, and so I think that the point is that if people are very careful with their budget. And they find efficiencies and there's a little bit left over, they lose that. So it's not going into there because they were efficient or, you know.
But on
found
the
savings.
other side of the coin, if you needed something, we're paying for it.
Nothing-
It's a very cheap environment.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
I might feel a little.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
It is a team
If
environment.
there's, I mean, if we were to go back to that system.
Yeah.
And review that reserve policy, then you're looking at, okay, so if someone has a deficit, how are we covering that?
Correct.
So if we're looking at an overall township
Yes.
operation, so if we went in
All
that
right, I'll
piecemeal,
concede, I'll concede.
and it's just
No,
difficult.
it's
On the other side,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a good way to look at it, but
yes, it is.
if we had a culvert collapse.
Yeah.
You know, if we had the fire truck absolutely go, or we're gonna take the public works, if the fire truck people fix. So this way, it's just in one pool and everybody understands it's moved by the township.
and where that 67,000, where was it coming from anyways?
It's the general levy for capital. So when there's a shortfall in that capital, it goes into the general levy account. It used to be years ago. And that general levy, capital general levy, that comes under the general administration. It's just a catch-all.
So that money wasn't in the fire, did we get?
No,
It's not like we're
fire.
taking it from the fire, it was in.
No, last, like one time we used that account, we bought the public works one time, right?
Right.
So it's just it's the catch-all for the capital.
Yeah.
So the last report, and I know we haven't gone through the budget in great detail, but. The budget right now is sitting at, for residential rate of 3.1, with all the amendments that we made, and it still doesn't include the fire department one, and. Perhaps not enough buffer for the fuel right now, but this column. It should be rated, but
I read somewhere else I wanted to ask you about, but it's okay.
it's in the package right
Right here.
here.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I know it did not copy very well. But I did try to circle where our number is, so this is showing that that's the amount of money that we need to collect. Yeah, so 2.9 is the overall, that includes every, like you'll see on the far side, there are the stars. So residential, and this is, and Opta figures this out based on ratios and based on what we need to have in there. So the residential tax rate goes up 3.1%. But the commercial is only going up 2%. So that speaks to, we talked earlier in the year, in 2025, about making sure that we were being fair to commercial as well. So they're only going up 2.1. If it's a vacant commercial land, it's only going up 1.8, right? So, and then it's the same, like that's how it trickles down. The aggregate are only going up 2.5. So the overall, when you combine all of the tax rate, it's only a 2.9% tax increase. So if we
But
wanted to talk, sorry,
Residential is gonna be 3.1.
yes, yeah. But overall, it's a 2.9. So we would still say it's a 2.9, but to be fair, it's a 3.1 for the residential, who are the bulk. But hopefully we'll start to diversify that. So if we wanted to look at the budget, I mean, we talked about the fuel and we talked about the fire department, so if there's ways that we can take that general levy. And alter that to put more of a buffer into the.
I mean, last time we went through the budget, there's not much to trim. It's very lean. I mean, and it shows in the percent. I mean, we didn't, it's not going up crazy.
Right off the top.
We're probably lower than every other municipality.
And also Castle Home is short $5 million. They're getting that money. Yeah, so. And did I see we were trying to do 2% for Castle Home?
It's 1%. So this year, every year we've been doing 1%.
Yeah.
And this is the last year that we have to do that 1%, because then it'll be, our budget now will be at 150 for Castle Home. So next year, when we have to start paying the loan off,
Yeah.
that's built into the thing, because our portion of the loans is around 146,000 currently without the shortfall,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we don't know what that cost is gonna be.
Separate from our operational expenses.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, separate from that.
Before you go on the budget, just before you jump on there, I just want to, or ask Alex. I see in there the calcium.
Yep.
And it seems like we're the low, close to the lowest. Jolly is a little bit more than us. But is there any justification for all the complaints about no calcium? Or is that just?
The justification, I'd say, would be misinformation. I think we apply calcium once a year. Last year, residents saw two calcium applications because we did before the storm had that damage, and then we followed up with the second application. We have changed, and once again, due to budget constraints, we do one pass on, I'd say 90% of our roadways. We do a single pass right down the center. The only roadway, due to complaints and the amount of dust, that we did do a edge to edge pass was Development Road.
Development, yeah.
And calcium has gone up $1,800 a load. So it's about $12,000 a load last year, add another $1,800 this year.
So it's instead of using the calcium, could we be watering the road more? Because I know there's just one specific area there where it's really bad.
Whereabouts?
Going across past that graveyard to you know where the graveyard is, Smith's graveyard?
Out on development.
On development, that area there is, I've driven there a few times. And the dust is really bad there.
I mean, so
Yeah, no,
No.
there's one, when you're going down development, you go past line 3 down Trout Pond, past Trout Pond. You're driving through the fields, the big fields on either side, and then there's when you get up there with there's a trailer and a new home going in there.
Yeah.
There's a graveyard in there.
so I will say,
You have to look for it.
we usually do keep some bag flake calcium in the shop, which we have applied in the past with the truck with the water tank in the back. We have applied that in-house, if things do get, really bad. That being said, it's weather dependent really on what happens, right? We could have a super dry summer, no rain, and the dust could be horrible, right? Or we could then again have a very wet summer.
And the other thing to tie into that is, now we're doing all the construction in-house. We need the dump trucks to be working with the excavator, not have a water tank in it.
Oh, I'm not.
No, I'm just-
Because.
No, and I think I understand, there was some conversation on Facebook, I think, regarding calcium. Not one of the answers that was brought to my attention were correct. We do not apply calcium weekly. We do not apply calcium monthly. We apply calcium once a year.
No municipality does weekly, monthly. It's usually
No.
once a year.
No,
You can't
the
afford
only place that I experienced it was going across
Sure.
there in the summertime.
And
Nowhere else.
I mean, one of the complaints that we did receive, I've received, was regarding a road that was actually tar and chipped last year, which would be that section of Pine Lake that actually isn't gravel anymore. So applying calcium to tar and chip is not something that we do.
No,
Once again, there might be some excess float on the side of the road, which is just the stone dust essentially from that didn't bind to the emulsion. But that'll be cleaned up by the, by the late spring, I'm hoping. So, but no, we don't apply calcium that often.
and
Yeah.
what we have here is a standard amount, right?
Correct,
What's in
yeah.
there? Yeah,
So, and like, the CAO spoke to earlier, we've switched over actually from the, association that we were with before purchasing calcium to another association to actually get a better deal, to bring these costs down.
Mhm.
Buying it.
Large buying power kind of helped us out on that one, so.
So when you get the calcium, does everybody get it at the same time and get it at the same price?
Yes,
Is that,
That's the whole point with
Yeah.
doing our joint tenders like that, right? So.
not necessarily the same time. We, as road supers, we call for it when we want it. But yes, typically in the
you
spring.
order at the
Yeah,
same
so
time?
we'll plan on the weather, right? So say we're, it's coming up, it's dry out, it looks nice. We'll plan, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll call the contractor. They'll have their driver come out. We'll schedule what roads we want to do based on how many liters of calcium they're hauling. So we know based on how many kilometers of roads and per liter, how far we can go with that load, right?
And to get them you gotta grade them first, then apply the calcium.
Last year you deferred it as well. We had it scheduled.
Correct, yeah, we had to
And
push,
the
I think,
weather-
2.5 weeks, we pushed
So
back.
we pushed it and the contractors were
Earlier,
fine with that.
right?
Yeah, they're used to it, right?
They-
This is their line of work. They're very used to
Because
that.
we didn't want to put it down in it.
No, it'd be a
You
waste
watch
of
it.
money.
Right, and if you put it down when it's pouring rain, it just washes away and it doesn't have a chance to sink in.
Yeah, I remember deferring it.
But like Councillor McKinnis said, right, you wanna fluff that road up and get that grade nice. Spray it with calcium and then it packs down and that's where we get, that hard surface with minimal dust. So,
Last question.
Go ahead. Go, you're done, no more?
Don't have any more.
Okay. So. Are we done?
Do anyone want to make changes for the fuel, or do we want to leave
I think you got it.
higher?
so. If I could just add, I think another thing that we should maybe look into is with our tendering, adding on, because it was an option in the tender to add a bit more sand. We've actually gone through all our sand that was purchased, the excess sand that we had from last year. And we're actually into, it looks like about 3-year-old sand at the shop now, just because it's been such a nasty winter. I just don't wanna say it was this time of year and we got hit with another storm, right? I wouldn't wanna be left here empty-handed with no sand left.
I guess, what do we want our levels of service? Obviously, our levels of service have gone way up on sanding,
Correct, yes.
like way up, because you're using 6,000 ton of sand a year,
Mhm.
which is quite a bit.
Well, it's not determined by how much snowfall we have.
Yeah, but I mean, your levels on our class of road, we're way exceeding.
We are way over, so we're a class 5 and 6 roads.
Yes.
We are treating these roads as if they were a
What?
class, yeah, I'd say
Two.
2 or 3. That being said, does Public Works still receive multiple complaints about road conditions and sanding, salting? Yes, right? So I mean, I personally can't say right now where that happy medium would be, where you're over sanding to minimal sand. Because usually, I'll be honest, like if there's a situation where there's an accident and we haven't sanded, well, we're a little late to the draw and that becomes a liability issue, right?
But I'm not complaining about the sanding that's been going on. I'm just saying, where do we draw the line for our levels of service to budget?
And that being said, I think that's another thing that we could maybe try to educate the constituents and residents on what those levels of service actually entail, right?
Are we out of sand right now? Is that-
No, we still have sand
Cause
at the
there's gonna
shop.
be a snowstorm in April, you know that there.
We do still have sand, but I mean, like, it is just very low.
I'm not saying not to get,
So-
look at purchasing more sand. I'm
But
just-
didn't we have more snow this winter than?
Well, it's dragged on, that's.
Oh, my
I think if
goodness,
you
has
get
it.
a- You get a light winter, you'll have that sand and you'll stockpile it for the next year.
It's like our salt, right? So last year we bought a bit of extra salt. It worked out great because we had a lot of freezing weather. We used most of it. What we didn't use, we put back into our stockpile for this year, right? And once again, we had some extra and we had to, use that.
Yeah, you use a heavier sand salt mix to crack the ice off
Correct.
the roads. And you can tell, like, I mean, all the chip seals are pretty much bare. They're way ahead than they normally are.
And that's where, ice plating comes in handy with the grader and stuff like that as well, right? It breaks that surface up and
Like, how many more tons are you thinking?
I'd say like a couple hundred just to be safe. I'm not hoping for, a big excess of sand, but just that buffer, just in case, that's all.
And would that put us over? What, is that gonna do anything for us?
Yeah, we'd have to find something from somewhere else, unless we go a higher percentage.
That's the only thing I was thinking, because I know we were talking about fuel and that sort of thing.
That's just a couple hundred ton of sand.
Yeah.
I don't even know how much we're talking.
So I've actually got a big. So at our, like, bid price. It's about $12.25 a ton is what the lowest bid came for.
So times that by 200,
So times that by 200,
what do we get?
you're $2,400 and 50 cents, so $24.
We spent $2,400 having a conversation.
Still go for part time.
Can we take it out of the M?
Think of
Yeah,
They got 45.
let Castle know that we're sending
Yeah.
them $2,400 last
Yeah.
year.
thinking of the fuel.
I know it's not ideal, but
Take it out of fuel.
rather be safe.
No, good for you to bring it forward. I mean, that it's,
Get half of that.
well, no.
So and this
Well,
is
you know,
no, no.
So $1,200.
Oh, so probably that.
12,000.
No, 1,200.
Oh, it's 2,400?
Yes, I thought it was
2,450.
Oh, my goodness.
Right, that's my point.
Somebody's not gonna say it, right? We'll just pay for it.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I'm gonna pass the hat around.
Yeah.
I mean, if Alex, I mean,
What would that put us up to? 3.15%?
Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
we put in for our fuel yet, did we?
No, we have not changed the fuel, so fuel is on
That's a percent.
page 21, like 811. That is our fuel.
So my,
So last year we spent, because we had different gas rates, we spent 117,000. We saw the quote, it's expected to be 145, but that's the quote based on using the same.
same amount of liters, but
Yeah.
conservatively, how many extra liters do you think you burnt in the store?
I think we actually had it broken down to over 1,000 liters of fuel. Almost like a weekly basis, right? Like we were running around the clock for almost
Right.
2 months. So I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I actually do have those numbers.
So you got
Correct.
1,000 liters a week or 1,000 liters in total?
No, I'd say 1,000 liters a week. that we
So
use.
for 8 weeks, so
8,000 liters, yeah, extra,
times
essentially, right? So.
whatever the diesel fuel price is.
And that was pretty much around the clock for our staff and stuff, right? Especially to our mutual aid, like.
Did you see with the additional work we're doing, that there would be additional fuel required?
I don't believe so, based upon our accomplishments last year within the department. I think we'd be safe to aim around the same numbers, other than the fact that the price per liter's gone up, right?
What?
It's just the storm itself
So 8,000.
used
Yeah.
quite a bit.
How much do you
And this
normally
is-
use? a week?
Diesel,
Color.
color
That
clear,
was
just
the
take
specific-
it.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
I have them, it's just.
Yeah,
I don't
no, that's
have them
okay.
on me.
1 second. Yeah, so I mean, let's go with that.
Oh, okay.
And we haven't gotten our money back
It's
from.
9,300.
So yeah, basically $10,000 in fuel extra from the storm.
Do I safely think if we leave it at $145,000? Or
Yeah.
you said we were 130 before, correct?
Mhm.
So, and we used 117 with the new fuel prices, I don't wanna put my foot in my mouth, but I don't think that we
I don't think you'll go over.
will go over that. I don't,
Okay.
so.
I really don't think you're gonna go over that. myself.
I've compared a couple of numbers from some other municipalities too, and I think, you know, our fuel costs were very high this year and our usage was very, high. But I blame the storm for that. So
You don't think we'll go over the 117?
No, the 140.
Oh, 145.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
what you had figured in already in the budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't see us going past 145 in fuel.
We're also kind of guessing because we don't know how much fuel's.
Well, if it goes to $3 a liter, then we're screwed.
So you bumped this already, right? This
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
already.
Yeah. Originally it was 130, then we got the quotes, we went up to 145.
Like I said, if it goes up to $3 a liter, no one's budgeting for that.
Yeah.
no, I mean, currently, I think our last quote was still under $2 a liter, which is 30 cents less than at the pumps, which is great. But
And realistically, they took the carbon, like fuel was up there last year anyways, they've taken the carbon tax off. So with what's going on in the world, we're kind of back up
essentially
where the
reinvested
carbon tax
where the
was.
carbon tax- Yeah,
So I think we're gonna be,
So you will get less because you get it in bulk. So
we
we're-
pay a bit less, yeah, but they won't allow us to lock in. So you know how propane for your house, you usually
Yeah.
lock in at say 70 something cents? They won't allow us to do that
No.
with fuel because the cost is changing so drastically with everything that's going on.
Okay, so what does an extra $2,500 do for us for sand?
It'll be very minimal.
Yeah.
So. How much did you say we need for the SCBA's if we add that into
18,000.
18,000? 18,000 plus, let's say just 20 grand if we add in, we need the SCBA's, we want the.
$2,500 extra
Let's
stand.
just say 20 grand. How much was the two fill station?
67.
Now, the fire
67.
department does need a fill tank. They do need a fill tank this year, portable fill tank. And they do, because it's.
It's like
security.
a water fuel.
Is that
Yeah.
budgeted?
It was part, it was going into a reserve.
Wasn't very much either.
No, it's 4,000. So if we could spend 4,000 on the porta tank, 4,000 on helmets, because there's new recruits, so we need some helmets for them. So. There's that option as well.
Okay, so if I do some rough math and follow along, because I screwed this up.
Mhm.
So if we need 18,000 for the SCBA's. And we need $4,000 for, it was 4,000 and 4,000 were the
$8,000 for the helmet and the
helmet.
and the tank.
22 grand.
So $22,000. So if we were to say, out of the $67,000, let's say we're not gonna do that this year. We take the $22,000 out of that.
So that's 67 plus the winter sand. What aren't we doing?
$2,500 for the winter sand also, so you're
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're left with. Hold on, 600.
28,500.
So we have $28,500.
Old
That's
school.
right, yeah. So $28,000. So out of that $28,000. If we want a zero, no more tax increase than 3.1, we would actually just. Actually, we'd lower it with $28,000, or we put $28,000 into. Reserve.
So right now, what's in that account is 68,000, so we need, based on all of this, an extra 28.5.
Yeah,
Okay.
25.
So we're looking at 40,000 that could go into the reserve. Cause right now in that for that fill station, there's a budget of 68.
So, okay, so we say no for the fill station, but we say yes to everything else. And we put some money
Into
aside,
reserves.
knowing that we have some big fire department
Mhm.
and other purchases coming up. I think that balances the needs of our fire department as well as needs of our public works department as well as, so, I mean, the fire department's still getting new equipment, new helmets, new SCBA's.
The fill tank.
Yeah, so I think that. That's my thought. I think that's fair. Unfortunately, the fire chief might not be super happy with that decision, but again, he's got, I don't know, a week or whatever until we go to.
But you're putting that money into a reserve, so even if he comes back to say, here's the financing options, or here's another
Sure.
thing, he can still bring that back to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's a council resolution to remove something from reserve to
Right.
actually say, okay, we're going to do this year.
Reserve, that's going into the reserve for the fire. department.
No,
No,
General.
general reserve,
Just.
well, not the general, what,
Asset management.
asset management.
Asset management, but is it,
pretty much.
is it for the fire department?
For all, the whole,
Whatever.
Was it
it is.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think our critical next pieces, other than roads, are the trucks, right? So those are the next things that we need to start saving up for, so that's what's in that. Yeah.
You're good with that?
Yeah, I mean, we need new trucks. What's the year of our newest truck?
Don't ask.
Going to,
There's, we went out in early 20s to Alberta to get a truck. And so I'm
Yeah.
gonna say 17, 18.
2018.
maybe.
I think it was used though.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
definitely do,
it's used.
but it was a
Those are used.
2018.
2015.
No.
He's working on a report so that we would have a thing of all of the fleet.
Yeah, we need a fleet
I
report.
just don't have it with me
No,
today.
it's okay. I think we're doing the prudent thing. I think we're honestly being fiscally responsible. I'm comfortable with the 3.1%. I'm actually really hopeful. Oh, but no, the municipality is watching us. That we will actually be able to say that we have the lowest tax increase in the area. I think we're got a shot that we might be. the
We're pretty,
lowest.
yeah, from what I've heard, we're pretty
Yeah,
close.
I mean, I know that, I think, North Bay was. Let's see, that was,
What's the highest?
calendar is pretty high. Not everything's public. I don't want to publicly share what it is. Come on. I think we are definitely gonna be on the low end of a tax increase comparatively, which I think is fair to our ratepayers. So
Was calendars approved or just proposed?
approved, I think, so.
At what?
So if something came up with the fire department that they were in dire straits for a vehicle, we could still
4.8.
go and finance one truck.
Yep.
So then the one truck would be for the one fire hall. So then is there still a truck for the one out in Rutherglen?
Yeah, there's a truck out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it work?
Yes.
Everything works now. Don't ask questions you don't want to answer.
Everything works right now. I think we have one Humber that, yeah, but everything works.
Okay.
Except for the siren, you have to sit on the top of
Yeah.
So if in an emergency, if we had to, we could get another fire.
Yes.
And
That's always the case.
they're all good with everything else, right?
Yes, this SCBA's are next. Hopefully, like I said, this year. And then, yes, and they have a plan for what they want to do.
okay. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Jay's proposed, like,
Yeah.
his math over there, Jay math.
I had 6 notes on the go trying to figure out the math of that, like somebody else write them down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean. There's only so much. There's only so much pot.
Yeah.
The motion.
All right. Mover and a seconder. Steve. Mary. Here.
No, by passing by a fire truck or.
Bit of both, eh?
Yeah.
Moved by Mary, second by Steve, that the Corporate Service Committee recommends to council. Council review the draft 2026 budget. As amended at their next regular meeting for approval. All in favor?
Here, you just donated your pay for my boss.
No emergencies before 2 weeks.
Oh, God, if we're getting another emergency.
Looks like I signed this. You said somebody else signed that.
No, you
Not
did,
me.
yeah.
I didn't say that.
I thought you said somebody else signed.
No, that's Mary McCarthy. That's you.
I give them day, Raymond.
All right, next is
No.
the
For Calvin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not us.
delegation bylaw. I need a mover or a seconder.
Here we go. So, I read the municipal act and I see that that is something that we have to do, right? So, and I'm good with that. I looked at it, they said one of the things that you had to do was to make sure that you had in there that you could revoke this at any given time. So even within the same calendar year, if there was any reason you had to revoke. So that part is okay. And I just want to say that council as a whole are delegating their duties to people to make sure that they're doing everything that we want. And our responsibility is to make sure that our community is taken care of. So I'm okay.
Anybody else got any comment to it?
Nope. I sent him a
I
comment.
seen your note.
Yeah, I was fine with some of the tweaks and clarifications, so,
Okay, so not everybody is aware of the tweets
Oh.
and clarifications.
well, go ahead.
Okay. So Councilor Corbett brought in some ideas. So. He had an addition, so I added in 4.1, and that's this one right here. And did you grab one from here? So I added 4.1. Which just say that the purpose of this bylaw is to establish a framework for the delegation of council's administrative and financial authority in order to ensure efficient operations, timely decision-making, and alignment with, as the mayor was saying, council approved priorities, including those set out in the annual budget with cash flow assumptions. So I added that in there, so it's very clear that this is all that staff are allowed, is that this is the framework for that. Also added a section, under 2.1 had the other one, I think that was in the end. There was some discussion about, making sure that it's very clear that this sets out what is being delegated and what staff can and cannot do, which I think section 2.2 clearly addressed. That, you know, and as you were saying, the council retains the authority, right? So it's always at council's authority and at your discretion. There was a comment for emergency management and capping the amount that we can spend, but having just went through an emergency. Emergency typically goes through the emergency control group. So I added that community, the emergency control group to number 6 in the delegation, because that's our group that sits around and we talk about when there's an emergency.
Yeah, and that made me comfortable, as opposed, like, we're delegating it to the emergency control group, which comprises of the mayor, and it comprises of.
Yeah.
Like a good swath or cross section of representing the municipality, right? So,
And anything else that would happen would be outside of the budget, so it would have to come to council.
Yeah.
anyway. Just given the other provisions that are in. And I think that was your 3 main ones.
yeah, so I had kind of a main premise when I read it, was wanting to make sure 2 things. One, that it was very clear, I think we're clear sitting around the table because we've talked it to death, but this document is very clear for any future. People, council, CAOs, like that this document can live and be very clear of, again, what the CAO is saying. What is, but also what is not within permission of delegation, right? So I wanted to make sure that it was clear, because as I look at this document, there's 2 premises to look at it. One, we're delegating our responsibility, or which it has to happen because we can't do everything in the municipality. But I also wanted to make sure that we were looking at it from the premise of this document also makes it very clear for the CAO and any staff of what they cannot do. So you can't operate outside the municipal budget. You can't shift council priorities without talking to council first and getting council permissions. You can't, so that it was crystal clear in there. It was clear, any of the things I sent to the CIO was just like beefing up some of the language to try and help that, but I am comfortable with it for sure. As I think you are, as you just stated, so.
Well, it doesn't hurt to discuss something. And
Yeah, for sure.
understand it, and I did, this past week, went through the municipal, act, and, so I'm satisfied that this is something that mandates, and the changes that I asked for is there, and I do have a question. In the email, you asked about, there was an accident over here, because we hadn't passed that. The road superintendent didn't have the authority to close the road. Why would he close the road, not the OPP?
The OPP weren't on scene yet, and there was a truck that was completely blocking the road, so he had to close it down at the bottom. So that no
So-
traffic could get
so-
through.
so there
He
was
can
no
explain it.
So essentially what happened was the truck came up the Blue Sea Hill and it jackknifed with the trailer, right? The problem was if you were traveling Blue Sea towards development, you couldn't see that vehicle because of the crest of the hill. So we wanted to, because of public safety and interest, right, close the top of the hill by the landfill. We put some signage of blockade vehicle and that sort of thing up, so that there wasn't a multiple vehicle pileup essentially, right? So they can't see coming down the hill, and that vehicle was blocking traffic totally, like from road's edge to road's edge, right? So if another vehicle came over that hill and hit the brakes, they would have just slid and collided with that vehicle that was already stuck, right? OPP was on scene. They just showed up shortly after the tow truck was there.
Okay,
So that was all. It was just a safety concern. It wasn't, it was a very short closure.
You
And
had to make a decision, right?
Right.
Before. we
correct,
had
yeah, and
more
essentially,
on-
the only reason that decision was made was due to public safety.
yeah, for safety, yeah. Yeah, okay, no, I don't want them not doing their job.
Should go and take this back to
They
the
got there
OPP.
soon
I
as
like
they
it.
do.
I don't think I probably work through your work.
Any other comments? Okay, moved by Jason, second by Steve. That the Corporate Service Committee meeting recommends to council to adopt the delegation bylaw as amended. All in favor? Carries. Moving seconder for the boundary road agreement with Calvin Township. Moved by Donna, second by Steve, that the Corporate Service Committee recommends to council to review the boundary road agreement with the Township of Calvin regarding Mount Pleasant Road only, given the added information on the roadway. Any questions or concerns?
You wanna leave it like it is, right?
Yeah, so essentially I would like Calvin to maintain the portion of road that's in question here, being Mount Pleasant, the dead end. And we will continue on doing what we've been doing at the corner of Development and Mount Pleasant Road. So we go to Morrow Road, which is a Calvin road. We wrap that corner to clear the snow back into Morrow and then turn back and come back down Development.
And then Calvin will take from there?
From the cemetery to the dead end, yes.
I agree. I mean, they're plowing right to there anyways. They might as well just
Yeah.
keep going up the extra couple hundred meters.
And they have to turn down Morrow, so.
Right.
Right?
And we need room to turn around, so we might as well.
Correct,
That's why
yeah,
they
and
go
that's why we also extended our tire and chip when we did development to wrap that corner.
Yeah, why would we change it? So,
Just they had an extra bit of road added onto them because someone built up there. I don't know why it would come to, I don't know why it would come to.
I don't think it was a build, I think it was like,
It's a house there now.
oh, is there? Okay. No,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
but I didn't.
but it's not up to, I mean, from what I see of it, it's not up to municipal standards, but I don't know why they'd be taking on.
No idea. There's a letter that says it's to municipal standard. Thank you. Okay.
Okay,
What is the
Yeah.
small amount of opportunity for the township of Bondfield in planning application?
There is one lot that we border on that new section that is opened, so we could have a settlement. It's a very small, yeah.
So I don't see any benefit.
There's, over on Shell's Point, there's a Calvin. Piece of property in Calvin and Blockfield, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it'd be like, Talon Lake,
Yeah.
essentially, Bond Builder, right, is Calvin, and part of Talon Lake, when you get towards the bottom, is actually Calvin
And
Township
on
as
the
well.
Shields Point.
Oh, on
over in
Shields,
Shields
okay.
Point, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because the guy always. Give us a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
He's
must-
in both townships, it's Calvin, and, but we don't have to go back there.
so with this motion, it's just staying, it's gonna stay the way it is.
So. My only question is just in the agreement. It says that the agreement shall expire 10 years after from the date that it takes effect. That time's passed.
Yeah, 2000.
It would have been 2019, right? So do we need a new agreement?
2009.
So it's past the 10 years. So I think,
So we can say, yes, we want to. If we want to open up the agreement.
but we're gonna open the agreement up to
Renew it as
renew it
is.
as the is. Because we're not changing anything with the agreement. They-
No,
Are
we
we
took
not
it.
changing it?
no, because as of right now, like, we don't maintain that portion of the roadway. Calvin does, right?
Oh, from Morrow Road on?
No, the opposite way. So Murrow Road is here,
Out past the cemetery.
Yeah,
right? So where development comes out would be right here, right? So Moreau is our turnaround, but this circled portion,
well, we don't
Is
make
what
it anyways, right?
yeah, so it would be essentially north
Okay.
on Mount Pleasant from development.
You're just going a little bit further than I did.
So
Correct,
we'll
yeah.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
We are in Bonneville, yes, so it would be up to Calvin to continue to maintain it.
Okay,
Excellent.
that sounds good.
The first one.
I would imagine there's things like this all over as municipalities.
Small agreements, yeah, and over the years, I'm sure they fall through the
The
cracks.
first one, and then you have to make this.
People just get, something get used to.
There's no maintenance, and then I think this agreement came back to 83, so.
Excellent.
A ways away.
So should I read this again? Cause we're gonna defeat. Like, I'm good.
So you could read it, and then, do you want me to read it, and then
Yes.
read it as amended?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion that was on the table was that the Corporate Services Committee recommends to council to review the boundary road agreement with the Township of Calvin regarding Mount Pleasant Road only, given the added information to the roadway. As suggested by amendment by the chair, then the new resolution would read that the Corporate Services Committee recommends to council to renew the boundary road agreement with the Township of Calvin regarding Mount Pleasant Road without any change. So if you agree with the second one, the first one has to be defeated, and then you can pass the second, one.
Right.
Or you can ask for further amendment.
When you say without any change, we're not just like, we're going a little further,
No, we're-
Calvin will be going a little bit.
Calvin's going a little bit further, but I mean, if nothing changes.
Where's-
our end?
Our operators are still doing the same that they would.
Yeah,
So it really
So there
does
would be
not
no
affect
change to-
anything to us.
except it's the agreement to say that we are allowing Calvin to go a little bit further on our.
It's not,
It's
even-
on their.
it's their
on
road.
ours.
No, it's their road.
Yeah.
So what difference does it make us?
I don't know, I don't know why it was,
It's
I don't even know why it was brought. Oh, cause it's boundary,
Yes,
But-
and it's a boundary road.
And these are common for boundary roads?
yes.
So we have multiple, like within our municipality, there's a few agreements, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nikki, but I think. Partially. The line splits between municipalities, right? So there's some roads that our staff maintain that are actually within Calvin Township, they're not big roads. But I think this is where this came.
And in most,
Are there any,
most boundary of road agreements, one township can't do anything to the road unless the other one.
Correct.
Like Ripple. Cool question, So who are the ratepayers
Yeah,
on the end of that road?
Calvin.
yeah, that's
They're
what I
Calvin
asked.
residents.
Yeah, they're paying
Okay,
taxes to Calvin,
It's
so.
a cemetery and one resident, and on the Bonfield side, the property that we have on.
Yeah.
That section of road actually fronts on development.
So we maintain the cemetery, but we don't maintain the roadway.
That's because the cemetery is also in Calvin.
But we have people in Bonfield, right? Or it's Bonfield Township, right down to the end of that development.
But
right?
but they could access that property off of.
Driveway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually no access, no
Fine.
legal access on that
Yes,
Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
so
fine with that.
we're defeating this and carrying,
you're defeating the first one and carrying the second.
is everybody good with?
Yep.
Are there any,
It's as clear as mud.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
are there amendments?
I gotta let Jason see that was.
I'm gonna turn around, so you come here and then just do it like.
Well,
Take it,
essentially
carry
they clean
down.
the winter so that there's no snow buildup.
Right.
Alex, are there
Yes.
any Bonfield roads that somebody else looks after
You're gonna understand that?
in any
Yeah.
other?
To my knowledge, no, like the end of South Shore is Chisholm,
And we
right?
guys-
So we turn around at Daytona Camp, but.
Right, and so do they, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the only, like I said, the only situation that I know of would be like Vaughnville or Talon Lake. Where technically it's within Calvin, but we're on that side of the highway anyways, and that's where I think these agreements came
Oh,
into
okay.
place, right?
Okay, so just so everybody's on the same page, we defeated the first one and we carried as amended.
Okay,
Jason?
yes, ma'am.
All in favor? Seems how I did it already. Defeated and carried, there. The first. Good call, Steve.
Is there something we don't know here?
You know, are you keeping secrets from us?
I need to move in a second to the next one.
okay,
Seconder, you want to second it? That the Corporate Service Committee recommends to council to adopt the pregnancy leave policy as presented for council members and appointed members to boards and committees of the township. Does anybody have any questions on this? All in favor? Carry. Super easy.
yeah.
The only one. We were in a second for adjournment.
Everybody.
Moved by Steve, second by Jason, the Corporate Service Committee be adjourned at 8:58. All in favor?
Jason, I wanted to put a sign